What is up, Cinemaniacs, and welcome to the first in a weekly series where I gather the greatest stories concerning all the biggest movies and TV shows to be coming up in the next year or so, and I compile them all here for you to easily digest. Today I got Marvel stories concerning Spider-Man 4 and potential casting updates for the Fantastic Four, as well as updates concerning casting for a live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie, as well as much more. Feel free to skip around in the chapters down below if there's a particular story that you want to hear about, or even a grouping of stories that you just really care about. With that being said though, let's get into it. First, I want to start with one of my most anticipated projects to come from the new James Gunn DCU and the lineup of films that he has planned. Starting with Batman Brave and the Bold. As of right now, the film has no official director, but after an interview with Andre Muschietti, the director of the upcoming The Flash movie, we could be looking at the future director of Batman Brave and the Bold.
Well, Andy, I want to ask you, you inherited two Batman here too. You got Tim Burton's Batman, you got Zack Snyder's Batman. And I'm curious, if you were to take your own Batman in a brave and bold direction, what would you want to put on? What kind of spin would you want to put on that character?
Oh, that's, I don't think I can talk to that yet.
I want to focus on the fact that he said yet. I don't want to say that anything is confirmed. This is all speculation, of course. But why would he say yet? I believe that Andre Muschietti knows that something is going on behind the scenes that we just don't know about yet. I think that we are looking at the future director of Batman Brave and the Bold, and that being Andre Muschietti, which personally, I would not mind at all, for two reasons. One, he already has experience working with not one, but two Batmen in the same film that is already screening very, very well, and that is The Flash. But also, if you know Andre Muschietti's track record, you know that he's an amazing director when it comes to child actors. The evidence that I'm going to provide for that are It Chapters 1 and 2, being both very successful films which are horror movies and also starring child actors. And both of those films are highly praised for how those child actors really rose to the occasion and did a great job. And I think that's what really sets Andre Muschietti apart from the rest of the potential directors for a future Batman Brave and the Bold film, is that he has worked in that horror genre, and I believe it's very easy to translate a horror style of directing to more of like a gothic style. I believe those two styles and genres translate very, very well together, but also because the future Batman Brave and the Bold movie is going to take an established Batman as well as a storyline with his son Damian Wayne. Being an experienced director in both horror and child actors is what really makes me excited for Andre Muschietti to be a potential director of the DCU's Batman Brave and the Bold film. But of course, this is all speculation, nothing is confirmed. But I'm still going to pass the question off to you. What do you think of Andre Muschietti potentially being the director of the DCU's Batman Brave and the Bold film? Does it excite you to see Andre Muschietti come into the DCU? Would you be okay with that? Do you think that he could direct a very successful Damian Wayne? Do you even care about a Damian Wayne in the DCU? Do you even care about a Batman movie outside of the Matt Reeves verse? Don't be afraid to leave any thoughts and discourse in the comments down below. Continuing our discussion of it and Andre Muschietti, we're going to be talking about Welcome to Derry, as set photos and videos have been leaked, and we get our first official look at what this show could really look like. If you haven't been following any Welcome to Derry news, and this is the first time hearing about it, well then don't worry, because I'm going to fill you in. Welcome to Derry is a prequel series to the 2017 and 2019 films, and all that is really known right now is that they will be set in the 1960s and focus on the origins of Pennywise the Clown, and eventually lead up to the events of the first film that came out in 2017. Stephen King has also given his thoughts on this project, saying, "I'm excited that the story of Derry, Maine's most haunted city is continuing, and I'm glad Andy Muschietti is going to be overseeing the frightening festivities along with a brain trust including his talented sister Barbara. Red balloons all around." Now that you've been caught up to speed of what Welcome to Derry is, you've seen the videos, and you've seen the support of Stephen King behind this project, as well as Andre Muschietti behind this project, directing a few episodes within here. How do you feel about Welcome to Derry? Does it make you any more excited about this show? Do you really even care about an It prequel series? Me personally, I could take it or leave it as of right now. I enjoy the thought of exploring more about this character and getting more horror TV shows. I think that's a great thing. However, I don't know how I feel about the thought of exploring the origins of Pennywise the Clown, as with any kind of Lovecraftian horror or anything related to those things that you just don't quite understand. That's part of the point, is that you don't quite understand them. So I think exploring more and more about these characters and this monster, and the more you learn, the more it ruins the horror. But now I'm going to pass the question off to you. What do you think about Welcome to Derry? Do you keep it or do you leave it? Leave all your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below, and we're going to go ahead and move on to our next segment. The Hollywood Reporter released an article earlier in the week saying that DreamWorks is moving forward with a live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie, and that the Hiccup and Astrid of that future film have now been cast, with Mason Thames and Nico Parker in the lead roles, as Hiccup and Astrid respectively. I don't know too much about these two actors, but I'm sure they're great. Nico Thames is from The Black Phone, and Nico Parker's most recent role was in The Last of Us TV show. While I don't have a problem with these actors, I do question why make a live-action How to Train Your Dragon movie, because it really hasn't been that long since How to Train Your Dragon even came out, with the last film in the series coming out in 2019. I don't understand studios' obsession with remaking animated films from 2D to 3D and making them in live action. I just don't get it, especially 3D animation to live action, because DreamWorks is not the only studio to be doing this, as Disney is also doing this with Moana. I understand the novelty of making 2D animation and trying to get that 2D image into a live action. I get the challenge of that, and I understand that to some degree, but I don't understand 3D animation to live action, because it's quite literally just changing portions of the CGI to real life, unless you have the added challenge of using 3D animation films and trying to remake them exclusively using practical effects. I really don't see a point in replacing the animated CGI Hiccup with a live action one, but still having an animated dragon. I just don't understand that novelty, and I don't get the point of that. But maybe I'm in the minority here. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky and not very happy with taking something that looks great in animation and is a great story and great narrative through animation, like the How to Train Your Dragon series, or like how many of the previous Disney movies were, to be remade in a medium, a less creative fashion, and in a fashion that hasn't been done to quite the same degree as the original was. And again, I might be in the minority, but that's what this is for. Leave any and all your opinions, from remaking animated movies into live action, to what your thoughts on a live action How to Train Your Dragon movie are. Any and all thoughts are welcome down in the comment section below. But next, we're going to be discussing potential castings for the Fantastic Four in the MCU. If you're not aware, ever since the announcement of a Fantastic Four film coming to the MCU, there has been serious debate and heated discussions over who should be playing the Fantastic Four in the MCU and who should be taking over the roles of Marvel's first family. And it's also part of the reasons why we got John Krasinski in the role of Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness last year. But as of right now, it seems that both fans and leakers have come to the conclusion of who their unofficial picks are for the Fantastic Four in the MCU are. Right now, the consensus is that our first family will be Adam Driver as Mr. Fantastic, Margot Robbie as Sue Storm, Paul Mescal as Johnny Storm, and Daveed Diggs as Ben Grimm. Me personally, I'm not too sure about these fan castings because I love Adam Driver as an actor. I think that he's a great actor. I know that he gets a lot of hate because of him being in Star Wars, but I think he was one of the best parts of Star Wars and that sequel trilogy, which isn't saying a lot, but he was a standout star in that. But I don't see him as being a very good Reed Richards. I just don't see him in that role, and I struggle to see him playing that character very well or fitting that character the way that I imagine him. As for Margot Robbie, I know that she's a very talented actor, but she has a lot of stuff going on with the DC side of things, and with James Gunn trying to move things around, she might have time to switch over to the MCU, and I would love to see her take over Sue Storm. I think that she would do a great job in that role. Out of all these potential castings, Margot Robbie is the one that I'm the most confident in and the one that I can say, yeah, that's not too bad. As for Paul Mescal, I don't know too much about Paul Mescal. I know that he's played in some drama roles, but outside of that, I don't know anything about him. I know that Johnny Blaze in the comics and in past representations has been much more of like a joking character and like a comic relief of the bunch. And there is a saying in acting that it is harder to go from drama to comedy than comedy to drama. So I'm not too confident in a more of a drama role actor coming into a comedy role. It makes me a little nervous. However, he does fit the look. And if that's what they're going for, then that's totally fine. So maybe they see something that I just don't. And as for Daveed Diggs, he is a voice actor, and his most recent role that I can think of was Sebastian in the live-action Little Mermaid remake. And personally, I need a Ben Grimm with some more bass in there. Of course, he is a voice actor, so I'm sure he has range. But I do struggle, after hearing Sebastian, I do struggle with picturing how his Ben Grimm would sound. But either way, these are the fan castings for the upcoming Fantastic Four film. Nothing in here is set in stone. There might be some truth to some of these. However, for me personally, I hope there's not a lot of truth in it, just because I really do struggle to see these actors in these roles. But if I were a betting man, I would guess that we're going to get some type of official announcement come San Diego Comic-Con in mid-July. But with that being said, what do you think about this being the potential Fantastic Four in the MCU? As always, don't be afraid to leave your thoughts and concerns in the comments below. But moving on from the Fantastic Four, but staying with Marvel, we got Spider-Man 4 updates. Spider-Man 4 is being affected by the writer's strike currently taking place in Hollywood, where writers are not working. They're on strike right now. So because of this, many Marvel projects have been put on hold, one of those being Spider-Man 4. This was confirmed in an interview done with Amy Pascal, who is a producer on Spider-Man 4, and this is what she said in that interview. Are we going to make another movie? Of course we are. We're in the process, but the writer's strike, nobody is working during the strike. We're all being supporters, and whenever they get themselves together, we'll get started. So like I said, the writer's strike is affecting Spider-Man 4, but it's also affecting a lot of other Marvel projects. These include things like the Blade movie, which stars Mahershala Ali, the Wonder Man series that began filming in April, as well as the Thunderbolts film, which is supposed to wrap up Phase 5 of the MCU. All of these projects have been delayed or paused. Any type of production that was being worked on these films is no longer being worked on. And that's because, well, there's no writers there to help script doctor or change scenes if problems do occur in the script. And honestly, I think that's a perfectly fine thing. Me personally, while it upsets me that these projects are delayed, because I really want to see the new Spider-Man suit in live action, I especially look forward to that black suit, that symbiote suit on Tom Holland. I really feel like that storyline and that event is going to be so cool and look so good. But at the same time, if I have to wait longer just to get a better quality product, totally fine with me. But as always, I'm going to pass the question off to you. What do you think about these delays? Do you love them? Do you hate them? Are you indifferent between them? What do you think about Spider-Man 4 being delayed? Are you looking forward to a Spider-Man 4? Or do you think that we're getting too much Spider-Man too soon with the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse coming out, Spider-Man 2 on the PS4, and a Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse potentially next year, so we're saying? Do we have too much Spider-Man going on? Is the market going to be filled with too many Spider-Men? And so a Tom Holland Spider-Man film, standalone film, just won't have the same ring to it? Let me know all your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. But that's going to wrap up this episode of Movie News. That's all the news that I have for you this week. It's not a lot of stories, but those are the biggest stories that I could gather. I hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, don't be afraid to like and subscribe and share with a friend. And if you absolutely hated this, then share it with an enemy. Either way, I will be here next week to deliver you some more sweet movie news, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!